Genocide is the intentional action to destroy a people, usually defined as an ethnic, national, racial, or religious group, in whole or in part. A term coined by Raphael Lemkin in his 1944 book Axis Rule in Occupied Europe. The hybrid word genocide is a combination of the Greek word genos and the Latin suffix cido. The United Nations Genocide Convention, which was established in 1948, defines genocide as acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial or religious group, as such, including the killing of its members, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately imposing living conditions that seek to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, preventing births, or forcibly transferring children out of the group to another group. Victims have to be deliberately, not randomly, targeted because of their real or perceived membership of one of the four groups outlined in the above definition. The Political Instability Task Force estimated that, between 1956 and 2016, a total of 43 genocides took place, causing the death of about 50 million people. The UNHCR estimated that a further 50 million had been displaced by such episodes of violence up to 2008. The word genocide has also come to signify a value judgment, as it is widely considered the epitome of human evil. Before the term genocide was coined, there were various ways of describing such events. Some languages already had words for such killings, including German with the Latin kaidia, to kill. In his book Axis Rule in Occupied Europe, the book describes the implementation of Nazi policies in occupied Europe, and cites earlier mass killings. After reading about the 1921 assassination of Talat Pasha, the main architect of the Armenian genocide, by Armenian Soghomon Tehlirian, Lemkin asked his professor why there was no law under which Talat could be charged. He later explained, "As a lawyer, I thought that a crime should not be punished by the victims, but should be punished by a court." Lemkin defined genocide as follows. Generally speaking, genocide does not necessarily mean the immediate destruction of a nation, except when accomplished by mass killings of all members of a nation. It is intended rather to signify a coordinated plan of different actions aiming at the destruction of essential foundations of the life of national groups, with the aim of annihilating the groups themselves. The objectives of such a plan would be the disintegration of the political and social institutions, of culture, language, national feelings, religion, and the economic existence of national groups, and the destruction of the personal security, liberty, health, dignity, and even the lives of the individuals belonging to such groups. The preamble to the 1948 Genocide Convention notes that instances of genocide have taken place throughout history, but it was not until Lemkin coined the term and the prosecution of perpetrators of the Holocaust at the Nuremberg trials that the United Nations defined the crime of genocide under international law. In the Genocide Convention, it was several years before the term was widely adopted by the international community. When the Nuremberg trials revealed the inadequacy of phrases like Germanization, crimes against humanity, and mass murder, scholars of international law reached agreement that Lemkin's work provided a conceptual framework for Nazi crimes. Waldemar Kempfert in 1946 wrote in the New York Times that genocide is the new name for the crime fastened on the Nazi leaders. The word genocide was used in indictments at the Nuremberg trials, held from 1945, but solely as a descriptive term, not yet as a formal legal term. The so-called Polish genocide trials of Arthur Greiser and Eamon Leopold Goth in 1946 were the first trials in which judgments included the term genocide. Before genocide was made a crime against national law, it was considered a sovereign right. When Lemkin asked about a way to punish the perpetrators of the Armenian genocide, a law professor told him, "Consider the case of a farmer who owns a flock of chickens. He kills them and this is his business. If you interfere, you are trespassing." As late as 1959, many world leaders still believed states had a right to commit genocide against people within their borders. According to political scientist Douglas Irwin Erickson, after the Holocaust, which had been perpetrated by Nazi Germany prior to and during World War II, Lemkin successfully campaigned for the universal acceptance of international laws defining and forbidding genocides. In 1946, the first session of the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution that affirmed that genocide was a crime under international law and enumerated examples of such events. In 1948, the UN General Assembly adopted the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, which defined the crime of genocide.